It's now my pleasure to introduce Steve Moore. Steve is currently a member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. He's very familiar with the work of think tanks like GPPF. He's having served as a fellow of the Heritage Foundation, the Cato Institute, the Hoover Institute, and the Goldwater Institute. He was one of the architects of the flat tax and the fair tax. And just a few months ago, he released his 6th book entitled Who's the Fairest of Them All? The Truth About Opportunity, Taxes, and Wealth in America. Steve has 3 sons and apparently a wonderful wife, because in addition to writing for the Wall Street Journal and National Review, he seems to be on TV quite a bit every time you look around. Please welcome Steve Moore.
Hi, everyone. What a privilege it is to be here tonight. You know, when Kelly called me a month or 2 ago and asked me to come and speak at this dinner, I was just so excited. I really leapt at the opportunity because I just believe so fervently in the mission of the Georgia Public Policy Foundation. And, you know, I work with a lot of the state think tanks around the country. And this is actually one of the few areas where we're actually winning as a movement. You know, we've been losing a lot of policy debates, and we've actually been losing a lot of elections. But the one area, the one really bright light in our movement as conservatives is what these state think tanks like Georgia Public Policy Foundation are doing. And one of the things I really want to impress upon you, because I think it is so important, is that you see what Kelly, and by the way, this goes for so many of these state think tanks. We now have a state think tank, don't we, Kelly, in every state in the country. And I would say there's about 5 or 6 that are really shining stars, and Georgia Policy Foundation is clearly one of them. But what's kind of neat about this movement is that we've developed this kind of infrastructure of these kind of, not just think tanks, but do tanks, idea factories that have had such an impact in state legislatures around the country. And I saw the most profound respect for what they do that came from, of all people, George Soros, you know, the person who funds the left. And I was reading this article in Fortune magazine not long ago, and George Soros said that he thought that he wants to try to recreate the infrastructure that entrepreneurs, policy entrepreneurs like Kelly have put together. And he said he thought it would cost him $1 billion to do that in the 50 states. So you are getting huge impact in terms of this institute. It's amazing that Kelly and the rest are able to do what they do in Georgia with really a pretty lean and obviously a very efficient operation. And so one of the things I really wanted to urge upon you all is please, when you look at, this is a time for us all to really think about, everyone in this room is a very generous contributor to the conservative movement, lots of organizations, and now is really a time for us to assess what are the organizations that really move the needle in terms of advancing freedom and liberty and these ideas we care about, and what institutions don't. And I think my advice to you tonight is that you can't make a better contribution in terms of advancing the needle in the movement than by giving to the Georgia Policy Foundation. I'd really urge you to even think about contributing more. One of the things I think that's really interesting about dealing with state legislatures, and I've been, I think, to every state capital in the country, is that most state capitals, and Atlanta is no different, is most state capitals are just these kind of seas of socialism. Almost everybody in the state capitol and the environment wants something, right? They come with their tin cups and they come with their hands out, and there are a lot of state legislators here today, and thank you all for coming. You know this, 90% of the people who come into your office, they want something. They want dollars, they want resources, they want loans. There are very few institutions that are actually saying, no, don't spend the money, and fix the way that government works. And that is what Georgia Public Policy Foundation does so well. And so thank you for supporting it, and I would urge you to continue to do so in a big, big way. And one of the reasons I wanted to come here, that if you come away with no other message tonight, especially for the state legislators who are here, and I was honored to meet so many of you tonight, will you please, please make your highest priority, and Kelly, I will not rest until we get this done. The mission of the state legislature and the mission of the Georgia Policy Foundation and all of us should be to make the state of Georgia, the great, great state of Georgia, the 10th state in this country that has abolished its state income tax. And that can happen here in Georgia. The whole nation is focused on this. I mean, if you, this is so cool. You have the ability to do this. The only, what is holding this back? It's such an obvious thing that needs to be done. It would be like injecting steroids into the butt of this economy. It would be a huge, huge thing. And by the way, I got to tell you this. You know, I have an editorial in the paper tomorrow. For those of you who read the Wall Street Journal, I got to tell you this. There are a lot of states that want to beat you to it. So you've got Louisiana under Bobby Jindal that's looking at eliminating their income tax. You've got Arkansas for the first time in 150 years. In November, the Republicans took over the legislature in Arkansas. They're looking at abolishing their income tax. Sam Brownback in Kansas. In Oklahoma, there are a number of states. There's about 5 or 6 states that are looking at doing this. And you know what? Nowhere should it be more of an urgency than in the state of Georgia, because as Kelly tells me all the time, and he's so right, you know, you're surrounded by no income tax states. You're surrounded by Tennessee and Texas and Florida that have no income tax. And so I just hope the next time I'm back, Kelly, you have succeeded in making the great state of Georgia a no income tax state.